Have you ever dreamed of taking that long-awaited trip once the kids are grown, the house is quiet, and your time finally feels like your own? For many people over 70, travel feels like a well-deserved reward. But before you pack your suitcase and book that flight, I'd like to invite you to pause for just a moment. What if something that promises so much joy and adventure could also carry real risks? Risks that might not show up until you're already in the middle of your journey. My name is Dr. David Collins, and I've spent the past 4 decades working with older adults, helping them stay healthy, independent, and informed as they age. Today, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you about something many of us look forward to in our golden years: traveling after the age of 70. Now, don't get me wrong, travel can be deeply enriching. Seeing new places, meeting new people, tasting new foods, or simply standing in a landscape you've only ever seen in pictures can bring a kind of joy that words can't quite describe. But it's also true that, after 70, travel comes with challenges that we didn't face in our younger days. As we age, our bodies change, our stamina, our sleep cycles, even how we respond to unfamiliar foods and climates. Our immune system becomes more sensitive, and our balance and reflexes may not be what they once were. And that's just the physical side. There's also the emotional impact of being far from home, the financial stress of unexpected costs, and the reality that recovery after a trip might take longer than expected. These are not reasons to give up on travel, but they are reasons to approach it with a different kind of preparation and awareness. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 key reasons why traveling after 70 requires extra care. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're real-world challenges I've seen time and again in my practice. I'll also share stories of older adults who faced these situations firsthand, some of whom managed well, and others who found themselves in unexpected trouble simply because they didn't know what to expect. My goal is not to discourage you. Quite the opposite. I want you to feel empowered to travel smart so that your trip becomes a meaningful, safe, and joyful experience, not something that leaves you or your loved ones worried, sick, or overwhelmed. So whether you're planning a cross-country train ride or thinking about an overseas adventure, I encourage you to take a few moments to really consider what your body, mind, and finances might need before you go. Being honest with yourself about your current health, energy levels, and limitations isn't about fear, it's about freedom. When you understand what could go wrong, you give yourself the power to make things go right. Let's begin by looking at the very first and perhaps most important reason why travel at this age deserves a second thought. And that's the increased risk of serious health emergencies far from home. Have you ever dreamed of taking that long-awaited trip once the kids are grown, the house is quiet, and your time finally feels like your own? For many people over 70, travel feels like a well-deserved reward. But before you pack your suitcase and book that flight, I'd like to invite you to pause for just a moment. What if something that promises so much joy and adventure could also carry real risks? Risks that might not show up until you're already in the middle of your journey. My name is Dr. David Collins, and I've spent the past 4 decades working with older adults, helping them stay healthy, independent, and informed as they age. Today, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you about something many of us look forward to in our golden years: traveling after the age of 70. Now, don't get me wrong, travel can be deeply enriching. Seeing new places, meeting new people, tasting new foods, or simply standing in a landscape you've only ever seen in pictures can bring a kind of joy that words can't quite describe. But it's also true that, after 70, travel comes with challenges that we didn't face in our younger days. As we age, our bodies change, our stamina, our sleep cycles, even how we respond to unfamiliar foods and climates. Our immune system becomes more sensitive, and our balance and reflexes may not be what they once were. And that's just the physical side. There's also the emotional impact of being far from home, the financial stress of unexpected costs, and the reality that recovery after a trip might take longer than expected. These are not reasons to give up on travel, but they are reasons to approach it with a different kind of preparation and awareness. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 key reasons why traveling after 70 requires extra care. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're real-world challenges I've seen time and again in my practice. I'll also share stories of older adults who faced these situations firsthand, some of whom managed well, and others who found themselves in unexpected trouble simply because they didn't know what to expect. My goal is not to discourage you. Quite the opposite. I want you to feel empowered to travel smart so that your trip becomes a meaningful, safe, and joyful experience, not something that leaves you or your loved ones worried, sick, or overwhelmed. So whether you're planning a cross-country train ride or thinking about an overseas adventure, I encourage you to take a few moments to really consider what your body, mind, and finances might need before you go. Being honest with yourself about your current health, energy levels, and limitations isn't about fear, it's about freedom. When you understand what could go wrong, you give yourself the power to make things go right. Let's begin by looking at the very first and perhaps most important reason why travel at this age deserves a second thought. And that's the increased risk of serious health emergencies far from home. When you think about travel, you probably imagine scenic views, delicious meals, and the joy of exploring something new. But one of the less obvious risks, especially for adults over 70, is exposure to unfamiliar germs, viruses, and food-related illnesses. As we age, our immune system becomes less efficient, making it harder to fight off infections that younger travelers might recover from quickly. What might be a short-lived stomach bug for someone in their 30s can turn into a serious medical issue for someone in their 70s or 80s. Let's start with where the risk comes from. Airports and airplanes are some of the most crowded and high-contact environments you can encounter. You're surrounded by people from all over the world, sharing recycled air for hours, and touching surfaces that aren't always well sanitized. The same goes for public transportation, hotel lobbies, rental cars, and restrooms. Even when a place looks clean, bacteria can linger on tray tables, seat belts, elevator buttons, or doorknobs. For seniors who use canes or walkers, the risk is even greater because you often rely on public surfaces for balance and support. Then there's the issue of food and water. While sampling local cuisine is often one of the highlights of a trip, it can also introduce unfamiliar ingredients, spices, or cooking methods that your digestive system isn't used to. In some regions, even the water used to rinse vegetables or make ice can contain bacteria that your body hasn't encountered before. Illnesses caused by E. coli, norovirus, or salmonella are among the most common and can lead to symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, and extreme fatigue, issues that hit seniors much harder than younger travelers. A trip that was meant to be relaxing can quickly become days of recovery in a hotel room, or worse, a local hospital. One example comes from a couple I once worked with, both in their mid-70s, who had booked a long-awaited trip to Southeast Asia. They were cautious and thoughtful travelers, but on their third night, they shared a salad at a popular local restaurant. Within 24 hours, both were severely dehydrated and had to be treated for bacterial infection. Their vacation was cut short, and they spent the rest of the week recovering. They had no idea that the salad had been rinsed in unfiltered tap water, a small detail that made a big impact. The good news is, there are steps you can take to reduce your risk. First, always practice good hygiene. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water, especially before eating. Carry hand sanitizer for situations where washing isn't possible. When it comes to food, stick to meals that are fully cooked and served hot. Avoid raw fruits and vegetables unless you've peeled them yourself, and always choose bottled or filtered water over tap. Be careful with ice cubes as well, since they're often made from tap water. If you're traveling to an area known for higher food safety risks, talk to your doctor about recommended vaccines and carry essential medications for stomach or respiratory issues. Preparing for these possibilities doesn't mean living in fear. It means giving yourself the best chance to enjoy your travels while staying healthy and strong. With just a bit of caution, you can still explore the world and return home feeling enriched, not exhausted. Traveling at any age can be exhausting, but after 70, the physical and mental toll becomes something entirely different. What once felt like an exciting adventure can now feel like a challenge to simply keep up. From long flights to unpredictable schedules and unfamiliar beds, every detail of travel has the potential to wear you down faster than it used to. And while a good night's sleep might have been enough to recharge your energy in your younger years, older adults often find that fatigue lingers, sometimes for days, even weeks after a trip. Let's take a closer look at why that happens. First, sleep disruption is one of the most common and underestimated travel-related problems among older adults. Sleeping in a new environment, dealing with hotel noise, different time zones, or just missing the comforts of your own bed can all interfere with rest. And it's not just about feeling tired the next day. Poor sleep can weaken your immune system, affect your mood, slow your reflexes, and even increase your risk for heart problems. Studies have shown that older adults take longer to adjust to jet lag, and those who cross multiple time zones often find themselves feeling off balance for most of their trip. Then there's the physical strain. Long hours spent sitting on planes, buses, or trains can cause stiffness in muscles and joints. For people with arthritis or circulation issues, this discomfort can last long after you've reached your destination. Dehydration, poor diet, and skipping meals can make things worse, leading to dizziness, confusion, or low energy that impacts your ability to enjoy your trip. Even everyday tasks like carrying luggage, walking through crowded airports, or climbing stairs at tourist sites can become unexpectedly difficult. Let me share the story of Richard, a 75-year-old retired teacher who planned a 2-week vacation to Europe with his wife. He was healthy, active, and excited for the trip. But after a 10-hour flight and a 6-hour time change, he felt completely drained. By the second day, he found himself needing frequent breaks, struggling to keep up with the group tours, and falling asleep during dinner. He admitted later that he didn't feel fully recovered until nearly 2 weeks after he returned home. What was meant to be a dream vacation ended up being more tiring than fulfilling. Another hidden factor is how easily hydration can be overlooked. When we're busy catching flights or exploring new cities, it's common to forget to drink enough water. Even mild dehydration can cause fatigue, confusion, and muscle cramps, especially in warmer climates. Combine that with skipped meals or unfamiliar food, and your body may not get the nutrients it needs to maintain strength and energy. So, how can seniors travel without becoming overwhelmed by exhaustion? The key is planning with your energy in mind. Choose flight schedules that allow time for rest between legs. Build in rest days between tours or outings. Stay hydrated by carrying a water bottle and taking regular sips. Bring healthy snacks to avoid long periods without food. Most importantly, know your own limits. Don't feel pressured to pack every minute of your trip with activity. Instead, give yourself permission to slow down and enjoy the experience in a way that supports your well-being. Travel should lift you up, not wear you out. With the right mindset and careful planning, it still can. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to share it with someone you care about, or simply pause and reflect on how you can travel smarter, not harder. One of the most serious and often overlooked dangers of traveling after age 70 is the increased risk of falling. As we get older, our balance becomes less stable, our reflexes slow down, and our bones become more fragile. A simple misstep that might have resulted in a bruise years ago could now lead to a fractured hip or a long hospital stay. And when you're far from home, even a minor fall can turn a relaxing trip into a difficult and expensive ordeal. Think about the kinds of environments we encounter while traveling: cruise ships with moving floors, hotels with uneven staircases or slippery bathrooms, historic towns with cobblestone streets, tourist attractions with poor lighting or unexpected steps. These are places that may be charming or picturesque, but they're not designed with older adults in mind. For someone with arthritis, joint pain, or limited mobility, they can pose a very real danger. Take the story of Linda, a 78-year-old woman who had always dreamed of visiting Italy. She was active, walked daily, and felt confident about her ability to handle the trip. But one evening, while exploring a dimly lit alley in Florence, she stepped off a curb and lost her balance. She fell hard, breaking her hip. The local hospital did its best, but she still needed surgery, and her entire trip was cut short. Back home, recovery took months. What was supposed to be a joyful experience became one of pain, regret, and financial stress. Fatigue also plays a role. When you're tired, your coordination suffers. Traveling often involves long days, early mornings, and disrupted routines, all of which can increase your chances of slipping, tripping, or misjudging your step. Carrying luggage, navigating airports, or walking unfamiliar streets when your body is already worn down only adds to the risk. For some, even supportive shoes or walking sticks may not be enough if they're pushed beyond their comfort level. And let's not forget that many travel destinations do not offer the same level of accessibility as you might find at home. There may be no handrails, no ramps, or no elevators where you expect them. In case of injury, emergency services may be slower to arrive or less equipped to treat older adults. Language barriers and cultural differences in care can add to the confusion and delay proper treatment. So, what can you do to protect yourself? The answer starts with choosing destinations that are known for being accessible and senior-friendly. Look for hotels with elevators and non-slip bathrooms. Stick to walking routes that are well-maintained and well-lit. Invest in supportive footwear that provides grip and stability. Don't hesitate to use a walking stick or cane, even if you don't use one at home. Plan your schedule with plenty of time to rest between activities and avoid rushing from one place to another. And above all, listen to your body. If you feel unsteady or tired, take it as a sign to slow down. Falling is not just about the moment you hit the ground. For many older adults, it can change how they move, how they feel, and how they live long after the trip ends. But with a few simple precautions, you can dramatically reduce that risk. Stay alert, travel smart, and make sure your safety stays front and center, because no destination is worth compromising your independence. When most people plan a trip, they think about the destination, the sights they want to see, or the activities they hope to enjoy. But one area that often gets overlooked, especially for travelers over 70, is the financial risk that can come with unexpected problems. These risks are not limited to lost luggage or delayed flights. For older adults, the real concern is how quickly one medical emergency, canceled trip, or dishonest scam can turn a well-planned vacation into a financial burden that follows them long after they return home. Let's begin with healthcare. Many seniors are surprised to learn that their standard health insurance doesn't cover treatment outside of their home country. That means if you get sick or injured abroad, you're likely on your own financially. Even in countries with more affordable healthcare systems, emergency services, surgeries, or medical evacuations can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Without proper travel insurance, these expenses can quickly drain your savings or leave you making difficult choices about care. There's also the issue of trip cancellations. Many seniors book their vacations well in advance, often under the assumption that they'll still be in good health when departure day arrives. But as we all know, life can be unpredictable. A sudden illness, a change in medication, or a family emergency can make it impossible to travel. Unfortunately, many airlines, hotels, and cruise lines have strict refund policies. Canceling at the last minute often means losing a large portion, or even all, of what you paid. Unless you've purchased travel insurance that includes trip cancellation coverage, that money may be gone for good. Then there's a growing threat that affects travelers of all ages, but especially seniors: scams and financial fraud. Criminals often target older adults, assuming they may be less familiar with online booking systems or more trusting in unfamiliar environments. Fake travel websites, phony hotel reservations, overpriced taxi services, and even credit card theft are increasingly common. Scammers may take advantage of someone who looks confused or disoriented, offering help that leads to stolen personal information or inflated bills. One example that stands out is George, a 76-year-old man who had carefully saved for a tropical getaway. He found a deal online that seemed perfect, an affordable resort package with beautiful photos and great reviews. But when he arrived, he learned the hotel didn't exist. It had been a scam. He had to scramble to find another place to stay, paying double what he expected just to have a roof over his head. The stress, financial loss, and sense of betrayal stayed with him long after the vacation ended. So what can be done to protect yourself financially? The first step is to review your existing health insurance policy to see if it includes international coverage. If it doesn't, look into a travel insurance plan that specifically covers medical emergencies, trip cancellations, and evacuation services. When booking accommodations or transportation, use only reputable companies or agencies that have strong reviews and clear policies. Be cautious with deals that seem too good to be true. They often are. And while traveling, avoid carrying large amounts of cash and keep your credit card information secure. It's also wise to limit who has access to your travel documents and personal details. After 70, every dollar counts, and peace of mind is just as valuable as the sights you plan to see. Taking the time to prepare for the financial side of travel can save you from hardship later and help ensure that your trip brings joy, not regret. While we often focus on the physical and financial risks of travel, there's another important factor that deserves just as much attention: emotional well-being. Traveling can stir up deep feelings, especially for older adults who may already be dealing with transitions in life, health concerns, or the absence of a partner. After age 70, the emotional stress of being far from home, away from familiar routines and support systems, can have a significant impact on both mental and physical health. Let's take a moment to think about what travel really involves. You're in a new environment, possibly surrounded by strangers, speaking a different language, and adapting to different foods, schedules, and expectations. For some people, this change feels exciting, but for others, it can trigger a quiet sense of unease. This is especially true for seniors traveling alone, or those who may be introverted, have mild cognitive decline, or struggle with anxiety. Loneliness during travel isn't always obvious. It may show up as restlessness at night, irritability during the day, or a lingering feeling that something just isn't right, without familiar people to talk to or regular activities that bring comfort. Even a beautiful destination can feel emotionally distant. For seniors who have recently lost a spouse, or who are used to daily routines filled with connection, being away can sometimes feel like being unmoored. I once worked with a man named Harold, 72 years old, who booked a solo trip to visit historical sites in Europe, a dream he'd had for decades. But by the second day, he felt more isolated than inspired. He missed the rhythm of home, the sounds of his neighborhood, and the comfort of familiar meals. Though he tried to enjoy the sights, he admitted that he felt like a spectator in his own experience. He ended the trip early, not because of illness or injury, but because emotionally, it was simply too much. This kind of emotional fatigue can lead to real health effects. Feelings of isolation can raise stress hormones, lower immune response, and contribute to sleep problems or digestive issues. And if anything unexpected goes wrong, a missed flight, a confusing train station, or a rude interaction, it can feel much harder to handle when you don't feel grounded emotionally. So how can older adults guard against this kind of emotional strain? The most effective approach is to plan for emotional comfort, not just physical logistics. Travel with someone you trust whenever possible, whether it's a spouse, a family member, or a close friend. If you're going solo, consider joining a small group tour where connections can form naturally and support is built into the experience. Choose destinations where the language and culture won't feel too unfamiliar, especially if it's your first big trip in a while. Bring along small comforts from home, a favorite book, a familiar snack, a few photos of loved ones, to help you feel centered during quiet moments. It's also helpful to schedule regular rest periods and downtime so you're not constantly stimulated or overstretched, and stay in touch with people back home. Even a quick daily phone call or message can help you feel supported and less alone. Emotional resilience is just as important as physical strength when it comes to travel, especially after 70. Being aware of your inner state and respecting it can help turn a potentially overwhelming journey into one that truly nourishes the spirit. As we've explored together, traveling after age 70 is not as simple as booking a flight and packing a suitcase. It comes with a unique set of challenges that many people don't fully recognize until they're already facing them. From medical emergencies and infections to exhaustion, injuries, financial risks, and emotional stress, each of these concerns can quietly turn a hopeful trip into something far more difficult than expected. But that doesn't mean you have to give up on the idea of travel. In fact, travel can still be a beautiful, meaningful part of life after 70, if it's approached with wisdom, honesty, and care. The key lies in recognizing that your body, your needs, and your priorities may have shifted. That shift isn't something to fight, it's something to honor. Because when you know your limits and plan accordingly, you give yourself the chance to experience travel in a deeper, more intentional way. Maybe it's time to redefine what travel means at this stage of life. Instead of long-haul flights and high-pressure tours, maybe it looks like a quiet drive to a nearby coastal town, or a gentle cruise that offers plenty of rest and support. Instead of packing your days with nonstop activities, maybe it's about choosing fewer experiences that truly feed your spirit. Instead of unfamiliar destinations that push your limits, maybe you choose places that feel safe, accessible, and emotionally welcoming. The truth is, you have nothing to prove. You've earned the right to travel on your own terms. What matters now is not how far you go or how much you see, but how you feel while you're there. Do you feel calm, connected, energized, supported? These are the real measures of a successful journey. Before your next trip, ask yourself some simple but important questions. Is my health stable enough for this journey? Do I have the right travel insurance in place? Have I chosen a destination and schedule that fits my energy level? Have I built in enough time to rest, recover, and reflect? Have I prepared for emotional comfort, not just logistics? These questions are not meant to discourage. They're meant to protect, because thoughtful preparation isn't a burden. It's a gift you give to yourself and to those who love you. So if you're standing at the edge of your next adventure, I invite you to take a moment, breathe, and plan with care. Travel should lift you up, not wear you down. And with the right mindset, it still can. If this message helped you see things differently, consider sharing it with someone you care about. It might just help them travel with more confidence, more clarity, and more peace of mind.